Marshall skips away. Marshall skips away. Marshall's still going. Marshall's got Richards coming up outside. Now inside.
Arsenal have gone through an entire league campaign without losing.
Bennett and the Dragons win the grand final.
Whips that one away, and Kane Williamson and his team now World Test champions.
Welcome back to the TGIF podcast. Thank God it's footy. It's been a pretty newsworthy week in terms of the football at least, and the rugby league's just around the corner, but we'll crack on with that in a bit. But first of all, how was your week, my bro?
As always, listeners and viewers, it's good to be back. Good to have you here, tuning in from wherever you may be. Good week. Obviously, we missed out on a little bit of golf on the weekend, bit of rain up here in Tamaki Makaurau, as has been the norm for the last little wee while, and unfortunately, the course was closed.
Just missing another tropical cyclone.
Yeah,
was it last night?
Yeah, something like that. Where Gisborne got hit.
Stay away.
But yeah, missed out on the golf. Watched a fair bit of darts over the weekend, which was good. Managed to still be up about 4 for the Gooners kickoff. Watched the first half, and just been a pretty cruisy week. But I'm frothing for this weekend.
Oh yeah,
we've been waiting a wee while. As a Tigers fan, I've been waiting that little bit longer. And Sunday, 8:05 p.m. It's upon us, the season for the Tigers this year. So I'm looking forward to it. I absolutely can't wait, and I'm keen to dig into this.
Yeah, look, as a Dragons fan, it's obviously been a week longer. Not
the old bye,
not ripping in this week.
The old auto
the
2 points though.
Yeah.
So that sways those people that are saying the spoon is coming, because he's starting off fresh, starting off good.
Everyone gets the same amount of buys, so it'll catch up with us, I guess, at some stage of the season.
Head start though. We'll take a head start.
Yeah, out the blocks, at least better than 8 of the teams. So we'll take that.
Now, unfortunately, we're not off to Rarotonga.
No,
it didn't come off. There was actually, I believe, no King of the Oche in the first game. I think they tied on 180s. But yeah, first game did me in. I ended up chucking another little small one on the next 3, and I think again I lost it in the first one, so a bit of a trickier one this time around, and we didn't manage to come away with, what was it, the nearly 4K winnings, but we're back this week. We've got a couple of NRL bets to chuck into the mix.
That's what I was hoping. Look, we haven't been going the best over the last few weeks with the Arsenal bets there. They've been winning, but we just haven't been able to nail one down for a while. The Black Caps, we'll get into that a little bit later, managing to pull one out of the dust for me today. But yeah, like you said, hoping with the footy starting back up, the punting gods will sway back in our favour, and we can start scooping some units for ourselves and for you punters out there that indulge in a tip or two from us. But I guess the main one we'll be hoping for is that trip to Raro. So we'll keep plugging away at it.
That's what we're after.
We'll keep plugging away.
We'll be popping up a $10 King of the Oche bet for each week of the Premier League. I think there's 26 weeks. I don't know if it's 26 in a row. I don't believe so, but there'll be 26 of them to come your way this year, and surely by the time we get to December 31st, 2023, we've been to Raro. That's the aim.
Yeah.
Get the TGIF lads to Raro. Now, if you've got any $10 multis that you want to throw our way, send them through. We might share them up there for you if they're worthy. I don't think we're in a position to say whether a $10 multi is worthy really at the moment. The amount we've had come off. I've had a few.
Look, our track record is not the best, but we've got brains in our heads, so don't be sending us any bullshit. But yeah, any tasty multis that are gonna be sending us off to Rarotonga will be greatly received with open arms, and we'll take them on board and see what we can do with them, I suppose.
Should we get into a bit of NRL then?
Yeah, I think it's about time.
It's the week of the NRL. It's what we're here for. We've been waiting this long. And Thursday night, we get straight into it. We love a Thursday night game. It's obviously a bit later for us here in New Zealand. That sort of 10 o'clock kickoff. It's the first game of the season. It's probably going to be, 10:10?
Yeah.
Possibly, by the time, who's running that first head up?
Junior Paulo or Christian Welsh, one of the two.
Yeah, so it's probably going to be 10:11 by the time that happens. And you're looking at a post-midnight coma off to bed. And, Fridays are always, a little bit more cruisy, so you can sort of have that late one. But Parramatta versus Melbourne, it's a pretty tasty matchup to be getting that couple of hours less cap.
Oh yeah, they've done well here, the NRL, scheduling this one to get us into the footy season proper. And yeah, I think it'll be one of those games where you can't really clock off early. Probably go down to the wire in this one. Two great sides going head to head that'll be gunning for top 4 spots and premierships this year. So yeah, it's going to be a great game, I reckon. Unfortunately for Melbourne, without one of their star men for a wee while longer, Pappenhausen on the bench. Sorry, not on the bench, on the sidelines. But, I'm sure Munster, Hughes, Harry Grant.
Yeah, it's still a pretty. I mean, it's definitely not
all of those lads.
When you think of the Storm of the last 10 years, and you do look at that lineup, it doesn't really scream Melbourne Storm to you. It's not as heavily packed as usual. But like you said, Munster and Hughes in the halves there is pretty bloody tasty.
Big Nass and Welsh up front.
Xavier Coates is a try-scoring machine.
I'm sure Qatar will turn into a beast because, look, who doesn't go to Melbourne
and get better?
Get better. And we saw so much potential with the Warriors.
Yeah, exactly. That forward pack is still pretty good. Harry Grant, we know how good he is.
They'll be a tasty looking side this year, Melbourne.
Yeah,
you can never write them off.
But then the Eels, you look at that back line, and that's a pretty solid back line you've got going there.
Yeah, look, you go down that back line and you can almost probably tick off Parramatta on just about every player there until you get to the halves, and then it's kind of a matter of opinion.
Yeah, Brown and Moses versus Munster and Hughes, and then I think the forward pack probably nearly runs through everyone too.
Up front is a good battle.
Yeah,
those front rows.
Yeah, Hodgson obviously first.
Hodgson first proper outing for the
Eels, which is interesting to see. So
off the back of a injury-ridden year last year with the ACL or some sort of
bugger of an injury last year.
But look, another thing. How long has it been since Craig Bellamy and the Storm lost in round 1? They seem to win every single year. I'll just quickly Google that now.
Yeah, have a little look because I think you are right there. It's a tough one though. I think obviously Parramatta making the grand final last year, I think they'll be out to try and take it that one step further.
We've got an article here from 2017.
That's 2 days later. It says it continues though.
To 13 consecutive victories. But I'm pretty sure they've won every round 1. Unless they lost last year. Going back a long, long time.
We'll be able to find out at some stage. We'll have a look for you. But, it's a tough one. I think I'd probably be leaning towards Para in this one.
I'm going to have to agree at home.
Yeah.
I reckon. Just maybe puts them over the line.
I hate playing Para at Bankwest. Ever since that bloody 50-0 drubbing in the opening game.
Bankwest, whatever it's called these days.
Yeah, so they're not called Bankwest anymore.
I think it's not even called CommBank Stadium.
It is at CommBank Stadium, yeah.
CommBank Stadium it is, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, but either way, not a fan of the Tigers playing there. I think, you got to lean towards Para in this one. I mean, it's a little bit tricky when you don't really have too much to go off. But I think, missing someone like Pap is pretty big. And yeah, like we said, you look at that back line there for Para. Pretty bloody hot. Forward pack, pretty bloody hot. There was a name there I wasn't actually too aware of. Oh, no, Matt Dury, he was at the Doggies, eh? Dury.
Yes.
He was quite good.
Jermaine Hopgood's been looking very good since his move from Penrith.
He has, yeah. So, I mean, yeah, it's a tough one. It's the first game of the season.
It's going to be...
I'd love to see a golden pointer.
Yep.
We're already having a late one. Why not make it a little bit later? Really get the most footy, for your buck to start off the season.
Yeah.
And, yeah, a little bit of golden point, a 21-20 win, a 22-20 win, maybe a 24-20 win, something along those lines. I think it's. I'd like to see a couple of tries, and yeah, just some good hard running, but a silky play. Chuck a couple of 40-20s in there, and you've got yourself a game of league. I think to start the season off.
Sounds good to me. Look, Parramatta, I'm going to have to go with you. Probably just edging them in this one. It's going to be a huge season coming off the back of that trip to the grand final last year, but just falling short. But look, one thing you can say about Parramatta is they do get up for these games against other top 4 contenders, other premiership contenders. If there's one criticism of them, maybe they don't get up every single week against sides that they're supposed to beat, but these ones, they definitely tend to bring their best footy to the table, and I reckon that's just what they're going to do. And yeah, like you said, golden point victory. I like it. What are the odds for that, maybe? Have a look at that, punters.
Have a little look. But that will lead us into our Friday, and we welcome the NRL back to New Zealand shores with a Warriors home game up against Newcastle. Now, we all know, or you may not know if you knew, but most of you all know my strong feelings towards the Warriors. And as you can see by the shirt that's above me, there's no way in hell that I'm a Warriors fan, advocate. But up against the Newcastle team, who, a couple of new players and a couple of new faces, but they've had a few off-field problems. And it's a Newcastle team who I think are going to probably struggle this year. Obviously, a couple of big name players who, someone like Callum Ponga who can just change a game like that, and the arrival of Hastings there coming to play. Obviously, the switch for Ponga to come into the halves. They've got, Lachlan Miller playing fullback.
Lachlan Miller at the back there, yeah.
But I think, we saw what the Warriors were like against the Tigers in that preseason game. We saw what the crowd was like with that many people there. And then you go back to that first game we went to last year, and I think, it's a 14th man, that Warriors home crowd, especially after having missed so much. I think for a good wee while, unless things turn to shit and they're running 17th or whatever after 6 games, maybe the fans might be getting on their back a bit more, but I don't really see that happening. I think if they've got a couple of home games in there and that home crowd behind them, not one of those things I'd usually say, but I've got to say I'm quite looking forward to this game. One of my favourite times of the weekend to watch a game of league, that first Friday for us. You've hit the end of the weekend, the end of the working week, and you know that you've got a bit of footy. You got golf the next day. So I'm actually quite looking forward to this. So clip that up if you want, listeners. I probably won't hear me say that again. Looking forward to a Warriors game, unless they are running 17th and the Tigers have got them. But yeah, I think that this Warriors team, from what we've seen of them, obviously against Melbourne, not really the best showing. But yeah, it's going to be a good one. It's going to be a tough one, but I think that home crowd for Warriors could be a bit of a 14th man come Friday.
Yeah, exactly. I think they should probably just be too strong with that home advantage. And yeah, look, it should probably, as much as it pains you to hear it, be a much better season for the Wars this year. Back with their even share of home advantage.
Yep.
I reckon, if things go well for the Wars, they could be in and around fighting for that 8 mark. If they play to that squad's potential, they're probably just missing a real, like the opposition has in Jackson Hastings, real traditional sort of halfback to steer them around.
I'm just
with a
looking
really
at
good kicking game.
Looking at that team list now.
I mean, Sean Johnson's a really good player. I don't think he's that style of player. He may win them a few games this year, but he's probably seen his best days, it's fair to say.
Yeah, I definitely think that's true. I do think he's seen his best days. We've seen
And he's never been
had
that.
some good days.
Yeah,
Real good days.
He's just never been that
no
sort
doubt
of
about it.
halfback. Like, he's not the guy to steer you around. He's the guy that steps up and makes the play when you need it.
Yeah.
In the opposition half, their opposition 20. His short kicking game's up there with some of the best when he's on his day. And yeah,
I think what I'm liking the most about the Warriors,
some highlights over the years.
I'm a big fan of the 3 double-barreled surnames.
Yeah.
We got the Nickel Klokstad or Klostad,
Nigel Klostad, or
however it's pronounced.
Pronunciation.
Martini Zalesniak and Fanua Blake. So 3 double barrels, real
Double.
Yeah, triple double. And then the touch judge. How's this for a name? Ziggy Klasa Adamski.
Whoa.
I've probably absolutely
Anya Ziggy.
really shat that one out, but what a name. And we got 4 double barrels involved in this game, so sure to be a good one if you got 4 double barrels involved.
4 double barrels, yeah, shit, yeah.
8 barrels,
That's 8 barrels, yeah. I mean,
double 4. So
there'll be some surfers out there getting very
Yep.
excited over the sound of that.
there'll be Friday 6 p.m. Is that 6 p.m. our time?
No,
won't be, it'll be
I
8.
don't think so.
That'll
It'll
be
be
6
8
p.m.
p.m.
Yeah. I was
But,
going to say, that'll be... Oh, yeah, there you go, right there, 8 p.m, yeah.
Yeah, for Newcastle, I mean, like you said, Hastings and Ponga in the halves there. It'd be interesting to see how that goes, because if it clicks, it's got all the makings of like a top tier halves pairing. And if they click straight away, Hastings will kick the dick off the Warriors, and he'll just be plugging away, and then KP will step up and work his magic, as we know he's so capable of doing. If he
Yeah.
gets the ball like 3 times more often playing 6 than he does at 1, then it's only good things for Newcastle on attack, I reckon.
Yeah, 100%.
But look, it might take a while to click, so that's why I reckon another thing that just maybe leans in the Warriors' favour. If it was maybe a round 12 fixture and they'd had 11 games together,
Yeah.
that might be a bit too dangerous for the Wars. But
I got to say...
first hit out in a proper game, I reckon they might just take a little bit to sort of fully understand each other's games, I guess. Although it didn't take long for Hastings to settle in at Wests.
Yeah, you're right there. He did seem to sort of slot in quite well. And I think, playing, no offence to Brooksy, different pairing there, I think, playing with Ponga.
Yeah.
So I've got to say I'm probably leaning towards the Warriors on this one.
Yep.
I don't like to say it. I have chucked this is one of my bets. Now we haven't gone for one for each game this time around. We just want to get a feel for the waters. Get a little bit of form, see how the lads are going before we get in there and chuck one in every week. But I have actually put one in this time around, and that is for first try scorer. Now I know that's quite preposterous, you may want to say. What's another word? Hopeful. I've got a word in my head. I'm trying to think about it, but it's not coming to me. But first try scorer for your first.
Hail Mary, I guess.
It's your first. No, definitely not.
Not what you're thinking.
Not what I'm thinking of.
First try scorer is a Hail Mary.
But it's first NRL game of the season. This was my thinking that I'm betting on, and so it's the first try scorer is what I'm going for. And maybe in the grand final I'll go for a last try score.
That's an interesting one.
To do that. So
We'll see if we can remember it.
although I'm leaning towards the Warriors, I couldn't involve them in a bet. I couldn't bet on one of them to get first try scorer, and he has. He's moved into the halves. He's going to be a bit more involved on the attack, and having someone in there like Hastings who can also, set up a nice little play. There's no reason why we can't see maybe them turning it on for each other. And at $21, I thought that's pretty tasty looking. Obviously, bookie's pretty sort of leaning towards the Warriors in this one. And some pretty far-fetched odds. So $21, KP first try scorer. Hopefully start us off with a 1-0 and get a little win under the belt.
I know you'll be cheering that one doubly if KB crosses the strike nice and early. $21 in the bank. Plus, the Warriors going 4, maybe 6-0 down. I know you'll be a happy man, but I like the odds. $21. That's good. KP first try scorer. I mean, he's probably I guess wingers are probably more likely.
Yeah.
Lockie Miller out the back of a KP move, but I like it. It's a good bet.
Hopefully set ourselves off nicely before we get into another banger of a match. Penrith up against Brisbane. A game that I'm really looking forward to this one. I think this one should be a really awesome matchup, and hoping to see a little bit more sort of what we saw from Brisbane at stages last year. So up against the Penrith team, a little bit weakened, losing their big man in Appy. So I think it's an awesome game to round off our Friday. I think NRL have done well with the scheduling here again.
Yeah, it's a great game, and look, the NRL will be. I'm sure they'll be stoked about Selwyn Cobbo's comments during the week. I don't know if you've seen them.
I hadn't until I'd seen this.
Yeah, he's gone and poured gas all around Penrith, I've written, and dropped a sneaky match just in time for the game, calling Jerome Luai a grub. I'm sure that'll fire the boys up. Luai was the one who knocked Cobbo out with a hit, I think, last year. All of a sudden makes it a lot spicier of a matchup. Just to sort of see if there is actually something there, or maybe Selwyn was just sort of taking the piss, joking around a bit. But no, it seems like he was pretty serious, name dropping and calling him a grub. Definitely builds the game up there a little bit more. And
we love a little bit of drama. We love a little bit of
didn't need it, but makes it definitely a bit more spicy. And the potential for a bit of argy-bargy if the two cross each other's paths. I'm sure Jerome Luai will be trying to live up to his reputation if he can get his hands on Selwyn there.
Well and truly.
He's definitely not someone to let something slide.
No, I'm sure that'll be front and centre of his mind there as he gets into that game. But it's going to be a good one in terms of the footy. Now, Penrith obviously coming off the back of another title for them. Brisbane, and glimpses looked good last year.
Yeah, had a really good sort of start and middle of the year.
And then had patches where they didn't look so good. Now, I think even, losing a player like Api Coruscant, obviously had a huge impact on the way that they played their game last year, but we started to see a bit more of Mitch Kenny near the end of the season, obviously preparing for him possibly coming in. But that team, looking at the squad there, obviously, Taruva there starting on the wing. We've got Kenny starting there, and then you've got Luke Garner, who's what looks like possibly a bit of a swap there. You could even say nearly with Abbey coming one way and Garner going the other. But it's a pretty solid team. Brisbane still look really good. Don't get me wrong, but I think in a game like this, Penrith, we know how good they are. They're going to want to start the season strong. They're going to want to get a good win under their belt, and I'm sure it's not going to take long for us to see, although we didn't see it up against St Helens, It shouldn't take us long to see that Penrith that we're used to seeing, and I think it could be a pretty long night for Brisbane, this one here.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think too many people will be tipping against Penrith to win this one. The first game of their second consecutive title defence at home on a Friday night. It'll be a very, very tough one for Brisbane, but look, stranger things have happened in our game of rugby league, and if they can rediscover any of that form that we saw last year, they were definitely matching it with the best, and up there in the top 4 at one stage, I believe.
Yep.
Fourth?
Yep, I'm sure.
Third or fourth, excuse me. So yeah, if that sort of class of young talent can take the next step forward, match it with the likes of Penrith, I'm sure their fans will be stoked. And look, they've fucking added Reece Walsh at the back, so although he's injured in later games, if he comes back into the fold and can rediscover any of that form from his rookie year at the Warriors that saw him called up to the Queensland side there, I'm sure they'll be pretty stoked with having him around, and they'll be primed to make a finals push this year, I reckon, but probably a bit tough for them round one away at Penrith, so I'm going to have to tip Penrith in this one.
Yeah, I'm the same. I'm leaning towards Penrith. I think they probably get a pretty big win. Not a big win, but I'd be going 13 plus. I see. Yeah, you've got yourself a bit of value down here.
Yeah, I've gone. It's a bit of a storyline bet, this one. Hedging your bets sort of on one hand, but also leaning heavily in the favour of Penrith. I've gone Penrith 13 plus into both the lads from the storyline I mentioned earlier to get themselves a meaty. Jerome Luai and Selwyn Cobbo, anytime try scorers. That's going to get you $24.88 if you use a little price boost there. So not too bad in terms of value, I reckon.
Two players you can definitely see crossing over the chalk there, so I don't see no reason why that can't come off, obviously, unless Brisbane can come out a little bit stronger than we're expecting. But I think that's a pretty safe bet there, that one, to finish off your Friday.
Both lads will be fired up after being talked about heavily, I'm sure. But yeah, rolling on to Saturday, kicking off with Manly at home to the Doggies.
Now, Manly obviously taking the win in the pre-season there, managing to be the team on top after the 2 games, and Tommy Turbo starting. It sounds like there's too many T's there involved in that sentence, but Tommy Turbo managing to get himself there in the 1 jersey to start off the season, which I think is huge for Manly. I think that it's a lot of what their play relies on there. But they're not just Tommy Turbo. They've got some pretty awesome players around them. Now, another team I think that has an awesome forward pack. They've been strengthened again.
Monster forward pack.
Tuolangi coming in and joining them. I mean, you've got Bullimore and Aloe on the bench there. It's 2 awesome players. You could probably start in a lot of other teams in the NRL coming off your bench. Interesting to see how Cooper Johns shows.
He was awesome in pre-season.
Interesting to see
how he can continue
he'll
that.
play up against another sort of halves pairing. I mean, you got Matt Burden and Carl Flanagan there. It's going to be really interesting to see how the Doggies go this year. Obviously, last year was that sort of first season when we got to see a lot of these new players involved. And there's been obviously some more recruitment over the last few months or so. Couple of really big names that are going to make their proper, their proper debut for the Doggies. So it's going to be a really interesting game, this one. Yeah, I think it might be closer than people might expect.
Yeah, look, Manly, they'll be confident coming off the back of pre-season there, and the fact that they've got Tommy lining up at the back. They seem to be a much better side with him than without, but look, this Doggies side as well, like you just mentioned, they're slowly coming together with a bunch of really, really good players. Viliami Kikau, Reid Marnie due to line up for them this week. So yeah, like you said, it'll be a tough game. They'll be a tough side for Manly to crack. They certainly won't roll over, as we've seen a couple of doggy sides maybe a couple of years ago do. They're slowly, they've changed that DNA. First outing for two head coaches, Seraldo and Seabold there. But yeah, interesting to see who comes out on top. I reckon Saturday afternoon at Brookie, Manly might just have the edge. Particularly if Tommy Turbo goes well. Because if he has himself a season where he can stay fit and even just impact the game half as much as he did, he will guide that Manly side to the finals.
They seem to have that 1 year on, 1 year off.
Yeah.
They have a year where they look really, really hot, and then they have a year where they're looking not so hot. And the way it lines up is it's their year this year, if that's the case. And I think, having Tommy back, hopefully fit for his sake, hopefully he's not been rushed back, will probably be the decider on the day. And I think, like you said, being at home at Brookie, you've got to be silly not to go for Manly in this one, I think.
Yeah, they'll be hoping and praying that it's a good year up on the peninsula after last year. Bit of change in fortune, particularly for their prodigal son at the back there. But end of the day, even without Tommy, I probably would have picked Manly in this one at home in Brookie. DCE should probably be able to steer those lads around off the back of that forward pack, sort of regardless of how well Tommy can impact the game there. But we know if he does impact the game that, they'll probably just be a class too good.
Yeah.
For this doggy side at this stage. Tommy can make anyone look silly, really. But yeah, probably going to have to go Manly.
Manly to get a win to start off Super Saturday. Then we get into the primetime game for those over there in Aussie. That second game, it's always a good game to be watching. More primetime for us, I guess, actually, isn't it? It's that 7:30 kickoff.
7:30 kickoff
it's
for
the
us.
5:30 there for them.
Dinner time game for them, maybe.
Got that really wrong there. Now, not a bad game for your middle game of the Saturday. Not the flashiest. Cowboys up against Canberra. Cowboys coming off an awesome season. And I think they're a team that's only going to get better. I think they've had a year under their belt playing together. You look at that team there, probably started their last game.
Was it Drinkwater, Felt, Holmes, Hiku, Tuolangi, Dearden, Townsend, Klein, Robson, Cotter, Hess, Nanai, Tamalolo. Yeah. Unless they carried any injuries.
James Tamo. Their only new...
Their new addition, yeah.
Yeah, on the interchange there, So, and Jack Gajewski, I don't know how to say that correctly. It says he's there. It says he's on the bench, but he's not there. So I'm not too sure whether or not he has been named. But it says he's the new faces on the bench. So yeah, it's pretty much the there you go. Hess's inclusion for the departed Tom Gilbert is the only change to the starting 13 from last year's preliminary final against the Eels. So there you go.
Tommy Gilbert.
Pretty much
the Dolphins.
Yeah, pretty much the exact same team. Now, Canberra lost a few big players in the off season, and I think they're a team who possibly may struggle a little bit this year. Now, again, when you look at their lineup, not saying that it's anything too weak, you've got players in there like Jack Whiten, who can really change the game. Interesting to see what Sebastian Chris is going to be like at fullback.
Yeah,
had an awesome year at centre, I thought.
Yeah, it's a strange one. I was actually pondering that because Xavier Savage out and Chan's moving to the Waz there does sort of Thought it would have been Rapana, as we've seen
I mean, yeah.
previously, but no,
They-
I reckon Rapana's way better on the wing.
Oh, yeah,
And
100%.
so, yeah, it'd be interesting to see how Chris goes. He did have a ripper of a year, and we know he can score a try. He's got a good running game, so, yeah, hopefully he goes well for Canberra's sake. But, yeah, that North Queensland side, I'm just picking them to pick up right where they left off last year.
I've seen what you've got down here about the weather. I hadn't even seen that, and I was about to say the same thing. They're going up there, and it's going to be bloody hot.
Surely.
And Canberra's not a warm place.
This one's only going to have just ticked into March by the time this game takes place. We're obviously recording on the last day of Feb. So surely it's going to be a hot one up there in Townsville. But like last year, if you run through the games, there was like 5 or 6 upsets in that round one. So maybe Canberra can get up there.
I'm just having a
get the
look
job
now.
done.
The weather in Queensland right now is, I mean, mate, they're getting up to 32 degrees.
Go Townsville.
Yeah, that's not the best really searching all that. 31, God, and that's look at that, 29 and your low of 24, and it's bloody pissing down with rain. It's going to be muggy.
Compared to Canberra's cold.
Scattered thunderstorms come Saturday.
Check Canberra's weather.
Townsville weather, there you go. Canberra weather on the same day.
Oh, they've
They
got
got a lower 13. That's cold at night. That's a chilly game. That's, it's getting cooler at that time of the day. So, possibly worrying signs for the Raiders if you're basing it all off weather,
Yeah.
meteorology, I believe is the term. Is it the term? I hope I'm not wrong then. I
think so.
I think I'm correct.
That is,
No, it's not the study of meteors.
most weathermen have a degree in meteorology.
Now, I think, like you said, they pick up where they left off. Probably not much to this game. I think the Cowboys probably run away with it. And I said you've gone with a bit of a familiar face from last year in terms of the try scoring there.
Yeah, I've gone North Queensland to win this one 13 plus. Into, as you said, familiar face, Jeremiah Nanai. Scoring a shitload of tries last year, and I'm backing him to do the same this year. So you roll those two together, and you're going to get yourself $4.83. Not the best, but look, I see this one coming off. It's I reckon it's a 1 and 2 thing. This one.
Yeah, nothing to, and I think if they win by 13, he's bound to score. We know how many tries he scored last year.
He's a beast. At the end of Kirk's.
Hopefully, like you said, it's a 1 and what do you say? What's a 1 and 2?
It's a 1 and 2.
It's a 1 and done, even nearly, bro. It's a shoe in.
Just lock it in.
Lock it in. Give us some moolah.
All right, we'll lock it in now.
Lock it in. We've got a win under the belt for this week. I'm having a little look for my second bet now, but we're looking at our last game. West are up. We had a look before, and the bloody Tigers weren't up there. But we have a little look at that while we have a chat about our last game for the Saturday night here, and this game is surely going to be a good one. Cronulla up against South.
Yeah, this one should be an absolute belter of a rugby league match. Cronulla up against Souths. A little bit disappointing that Nico Hines has picked up a little calf injury, I think. Hopefully he's not out for too long for Cronulla's sake. But two sides that'll be gunning for the top 4 this year, similar to that Parramatta versus Melbourne clash. Two sides that'll be hoping to lift the trophy and have every reason to believe they can lift the trophy at the end of the year, I reckon. If you go down both the team lists, it's two pretty awesome teams, 1 to 17 really, especially if you chuck Nico Hines back in. for Cronulla there. So, yeah, can't wait for this one.
Yeah, it's going to be an awesome game. Really nice way to finish off your Saturday night. I think, yeah, it's two teams who are really going to want to try and push on this year, try and get that little step further. I think they've probably both got the quality to get there. I think if I have a little look through that lineup there, I mean, both back lines are pretty bloody awesome. You look at, there's at least 40 tries there with 30 coming from Johnson for the Bunnies.
Yeah.
You look at that centre pair in there for the Sharkies. Again, if they can have another season like they did last year. Not too many new names involved really in that team there. You've got Oregon Kafusi comes in for the Sharkies, coming away from the Eels. A really good game, and it's quite a tough one to pick, I think. I think having no Nico Hines, who had such a huge impact last year for them, might make it a bit trickier for them.
Yeah.
But at home, do the fans get behind them? I mean, the Bunnies, though, quite a hard team to pick last year, I found. They could be pretty hit and miss, the Bunnies. Have the odd game where they sort of fall apart a little bit. A really good game, though. Again, I didn't see enough of either of these two teams really in pre-season. I'm not too sure really what I'm looking forward to. I don't know what I'm going to be getting involved with in this game.
Yeah, South blew us away first half, but yeah, again, same. I didn't really watch their first week or Cronulla, really, apart from a few highlights here or there. And yeah, Nico Hines will be a big miss. But at home, Shark Park, look, it's a really tough one to pick. I reckon it'll be one of, if not the game of the round.
I think it's got to be the game of the round. Yeah, really tight, good matchups. I think like you said, throughout the whole 17, nearly. Yeah, it's a tough one. I think I've got to go with the Bunnies. Maybe this is the golden point game. Maybe this is the...
Yeah, I'm the same as you.
It's a tough one, eh? I think, no Nico Hines is big.
It's a big miss.
We saw how much of an impact he made for them last year. And I think having someone like him missing can probably throw a bit of a spanner in the works. So, yeah, I'm going to have to go with Bunnies to finish off our Saturday, I think.
Me too, yeah. Now, Sunday.
History
has been made, or will be made. The 17th team, the Dolphins, no Redcliffe, just the Dolphins, finally reaching the first NRL game.
It's going to be awesome to see. Obviously, I watched a bit of that game that they played last week up against the Titans where they didn't look too flash.
Probably looked a little bit underdone.
Yeah, I think
a little bit of the lack of, I guess, first grade, players at the top of their game, top of their craft.
It's kind of like a bit of an
got a few veterans, a few
like an outcast team, I know when there was talk about them, 17th team coming in, and there's talk saying that you've got teams like the Doggies who can't field a competitive team, and where's the rest of this 30 going to come from, at minimum. But I mean, there's players there who are great players, don't get me wrong. We're still yet to see Hamaso, the Hammer, fulfill his potential. He's still really, really young. And then like you said, you look at that the forwards there, and it's quite a lot of experience in there. Bromwich, Kafusi, the Bromwich brothers, and Kafusi, obviously Tom Gilbert there now as well, coming off a really good season. Up against the Roosters team, who I saw something, they were in the news again today about managing to pick up Spencer Leniu for next year.
Yep.
And someone come out and said, how are they managing to sign all these players?
Reportedly, they're signing Spencer Leniu.
So
they've got a lot of players off contract this year.
They do? Okay. But it's an awesome looking team. That Roosters team. Joe Manu missing.
Yep.
which is obviously, is a big miss. Also, Warrior Hargreaves missing as well. So 2 players there that obviously will be a bit of a miss there for the Roosters. But Wayne Bennett, we know how good he is. But it might take him a few more weeks till he's pulling off a win up against the Roosters, I think.
Yeah, probably not the ideal side to verse in your first game.
Not in the first game, no.
This superstar stacked Roosters side, even missing the likes of Warrior Hargreaves and Joey Manu, I think they'll just have too much talent in their ranks to lose to this Dolphins side, unfortunately. But like you said, Wayne Bennett is at the helm, and wouldn't we have said similar things about a New South Wales side in 2020 coming up against a Queensland side that looked like they had a far less amount of talent at their disposal compared to New South Wales, and the master coach Wayno managed to pull it off.
Exactly. So,
but look, this one's a slim possibility.
Yeah, I've got to say, I'm
it's a home game for them at Suncorp, so hopefully they can get a good crowd in. Of Dolphins fans, I don't know where they're going to come from. Redcliffe, I suppose. Good on them. Get out there and cheer your boys on, and hopefully they can be competitive in this one. But yeah, a lot of people probably picking the opposite in this one. A big Roosters win.
I'm going for that. A big Roosters win. A few tries scored, and Dolphins will be looking forward to the week after. Moving on and trying to pick up a win in their following game. I'm not too sure who they're playing next week. But like you said, yeah, not the nicest of starts to the season there. Up against the Roosters, who we know are going to be strong pretty much each year. Raiders the week after they've got.
Raiders. Well, hopefully they can get their first one on the board.
Yeah, exactly.
Sooner rather than later. Prove everyone wrong, but yeah, it'll be tough.
Now, the game that we've been waiting for. I know you said before that we might have had a game of the round on the cards here, but it was said last week in commentary during Dolphins-Titans game that this could be the game of the round. West's up against Gold Coast. Now, 2 teams coming off 2 awesome performances, I thought, last week. The Tigers getting a good win up against the Raiders, and then Titans putting on a big one up against the Dolphins. Little bit of maybe a 10-minute lapse near the end there where they let in a couple of tries. Probably a 20-minute lapse from the Tigers at the start of the game where we didn't play too well. But apart from that, I thought both teams played some pretty good footy throughout both of their pre-season games. Lots of new players involved. The Tigers have named a pretty expected 1 to 13. I guess the trickiest pick there for Sheensy was probably seeing who was starting at 1, and that's the way I thought it was going to go. Dane Laurie starting at 1, but Staines has been given the go on the wing with Mamalo picking up an injury. I thought maybe Junior Tupou might have been given a go, but I'm pretty happy with that back line when I look at the back line there. Forward pack, we're getting to see Appy make his debut, Clemmer make his debut, Papali'i make his debut. Sean Blaw's back from injury. A really strong looking team. Good to see Fanua Pole there coming off the bench.
I'm thinking, look, Fanua Pole or Kepa Awa there are going to be very unlucky once Johnny Bateman gets himself involved, because
yeah,
one of those two I think is going to have to drop out unless Offa drops out and Bateman plays 13.
I don't think
Offa will go out of the 17, yeah, so
that's the thing.
It's probably Fanua Pole or Kepa Awa.
I think it's got to be us who Kepa Awa there, unfortunately.
I mean, they're only an injury or a suspension away from being recalled into the side, but
exactly.
It's tough on them. Good pre-seasons from the 2 of them, especially in that hit out against the Raiders. They were very
they both played
involved
really well.
I believe both. Oh no!
When you look at the Rezzies there, you've got Safefath, who tries his hardest each week. Stafford Toa, who obviously maybe hasn't seen the best of him at the Tigers. Wakeham, who looked really, really good. Matamua, who's young, and Tupou, who's also young, who both had really good pre-seasons as well. And then you look at the Titans squad, who full of tries last week. Khan Pereira managing to slot 4. I was under the assumption that Khan was his first name, but he's another double barrel. It's
watch out.
Alofiana. I want to say it. I hope I pronounced that correctly. Alofiana, Khan Pereira. You got Jojo Fafita on the other wing. Obviously, Foz getting the nod there at the 6. You got Big Tino, David Fafita there in that forward pack. Sam Verrills coming in from the Roosters to lead the team there from 9. Jaden Campbell not managing to make it into that starting team, coming off the bench. You got Mofo coming off the bench. It's not a bad looking Titans team, and I think they're going to be a team that might surprise a few this year as well. They were, I guess, thought to go a little bit better last year than they may have, and obviously weren't able to make it into the finals there. But they'll be looking to try and push on this time around. But yeah, it's going to be a good game. I think we know which way I'm going to be going for this one.
Yeah, look, I know what way you're going to be going, but it should be a really good matchup with two teams that, look, last year you two were probably fighting it out for that spoon. This year, I reckon you'll be fighting it out for a spot around that 7 or 8th.
Fingers crossed.
Possibly, yeah, around that sort of mark there. After some really good off-season signings, you've gone through the likes of the Tigers there, along with Johnny Bateman still to come. But, I mean, Gold Coast signing Foz there could end up being a masterstroke off, excuse me, the back of the couple of years he's had at Manly. Or he could just have a Manly curse put on him, where he just doesn't really fulfill his potential outside of the Northern Beaches. But look, Sammy Verrills as well at 9. That's a very good signing. He's a good player. Another year under the belt of both Brimson and Campbell will do them well. And look, they could be a very good side this year. But yeah, I'm probably going to have to lean towards Tigers to get a win. I think they looked a lot better in that second week of pre-season, with their first graders sort of getting more of a hit out there. And look, if you can mark similar levels of improvement sort of throughout the season, there's no reason why you guys can't be a decent side this year.
Yeah,
with the likes of,
I think we'll scare teams. I think that's the way to look at it.
Yeah, the likes of IPAP, Clemmer, Appy, Bateman.
Yeah, there's
players plays well.
That are coming in that aren't going to want to be accepting 10th or 11th. You know, I think the big thing is the change of culture. Shinsey and Benji there. I think if you're not there and you're not giving your all under someone like Benji, who has done it with the Tigers, I don't think you're going to get a look in. So if you're not giving your all, you're going to be, you know, like we said, some of those players who are only an injury or suspension away, it could be a bad game away from coming back into that team. So I think that's the big thing this time around, the change of culture, and you saw it in both preseason games, to be fair. I think you saw that change of culture in terms of the way that we did manage to fight back up against the Warriors, and it was a bunch of dudes who probably won't be involved too much this year, but they gave it a good crack. And then last week, a change in culture where we were able to sort of put a team away. So I'm really looking forward to it. We know I'm going for the Tigers. We know I'm going that way. I managed to get a little bit of value. I don't like really picking bets with the Tigers, but I said it a lot last year. If we win, it's going to be tight. I don't see us blowing anyone out of the water just this early on, especially not the Titans who were there last week. So Tigers 1-12 into two try-scoring freaks. Jojo Fafita managed to get himself either a double or a hat-trick on the weekend last week. And Charlie Staines getting the nod there on the wing. Both of them can cross the try line and the Tigers get that close win. 13.82. So a little bit of value to sign off for the first week at NRL.
I like it. Look, Staines scored 4, was it, on his Penrith debut?
Yep.
Why can't he go and score 5 on his West debut, eh?
Imagine. How good would that be?
But yeah, no, a bit of a theme for me, I guess, this week. I'm probably going to have to tip the Tigers, based on that home crowd advantage. Surely they get the job done for the faithful there at Leichhardt and start the season off, and there can be a bit of a better vibe amongst the fan base this year after a rough few years, to say the least. But things are looking up for you lads, the Tigs. It's a good stuff. Good stuff. We rate it.
Now, we take a little look at the Rumble, and overnight we had the FIFA The Best Awards that were announced, and a couple of big winners, a couple of names who you expect to see when you're involved in this, couple of surprise names involved in this one. Now, I guess, what do you want to start with there?
Look, coaches of the year.
Scaloni, Argentina.
Yep.
Just also re-signed on as well, I believe, this morning. I don't know if it was prior to or post that announcement, but I did see something that he had signed on, I think, until 2026. So he managed to take that top coach. And then Weidman there from the Lionesses.
Yep. So I guess, that looking favourably upon those World Cup and European victories respectively there.
Yep. So I guess that's.
Don't know if Weigman also does. I don't know if women's football they also coach club, or if they're like. Surely the Lionesses manager doesn't. Like those big nations.
Nah, just the English.
Because they play enough football now, like.
Yeah. Just the women's team.
Yeah. But yeah, I guess you'll start to see a bit of a theme, I suppose, emerging amongst the award winners with those World Cup and European victories. Yeah, really looked upon favourably, and I suppose on the one hand, fair enough, it is the biggest stage of the recent year for, I guess, the men and women respectively, but I guess the other hand, sort of a little bit sceptical based on the fact that it's a few games compared to what some other people have managed to do over the likes of the full year. I've seen some arguments definitely for both, but look, well done to the award winners.
I'm not a big fan of international footy, I got to say. I do prefer the club stuff, but it is a huge stage, and they managed to pull it off. And speaking of those sort of surprises or those shocks, I thought one of these came out of this next one. And in terms of the goalkeepers of the year, Emi Martinez obviously had an awesome World Cup for Argentina, but hasn't been at his best, I don't think, at club level. And then Mary Earps, the goalkeeper of the year for England, I guess another one leaning towards that international style.
Don't know how well she's done for Man United over the last year. She might have had a really good season, which not really a huge follower of the women's game there.
I kind of only really see how Arsenal are going. They're top of the table. There you go.
They're top of the table, but it's like 2023, so it's based on last year's performances.
Fourth.
Last year. Oh, so how many goals did they concede? Was it like
22
less?
22 and 22, yeah.
No, she might have been pretty good.
But there are some pretty gnarly goal differences there in that women's league.
But yeah, look, I guess their performances bringing home those trophies on the big stage there. I guess, you probably can't argue past giving Martinez that, I don't know, probably. You definitely can't argue past giving many other players the Golden Glove of the World Cup. But like you said, kind of hasn't had the best season. Definitely started his Villa career better than he's currently sort of doing this year, and
no doubt
done under Stevie G. But managed to pull off some huge saves, including the one that managed to keep them in it for the Pens there, so that those other lads could get the glory there. But well done to them both, I suppose. Shout out Emi Martinez, ex-Gooner.
Yeah, good on him.
Always good to see an ex-Gooner do well, and We also had a couple of current Gooners do well, but from the women's side, making the FIFA Pro 11 there, Leah Williamson and Beth Mead.
Yep, well done to both of them.
Our defensive and attacking superstar, respectively. Well, obviously, chuck Viv Medema in there for the arse, but I thought she was probably a bit unlucky to miss out.
She was injured for a good patch of the season, Medema.
She did her ACL like December 27th.
Oh, really? So she didn't... Oh,
So
okay.
it's kind of like she played really well during that year. She's only missed football in 2023.
Oh, okay.
But also, yeah, she has been injured, but probably unlucky to miss out. Based on, the fact that we just really follow the Arsenal women's and nothing else.
Biggest names in footy, and then I guess the Women's Player of the Year, a little bit of a shoe-in. Alexia Putellas from Barcelona.
She's insane.
Unreal. She's kind of unrivaled, I guess. Probably no one really up to the, I guess I don't want to say the standard or the ability, but no one able to sort of put in those performances that consistently like she can.
She's like, she's a freak. She's like Haaland with goal scoring, and then she does it as well with assists.
Exactly, eh?
So,
a freak. Just like the bloke who picked up the big one, the men's best award, Leo Messi. I see that you're a bit skeptical.
I think he's had a really good year. Don't get me wrong. And I think he's probably is deserved of this award. But I also think that, while he did lead his country to World Cup glory there, a round of 16 exit for PSG last year in the Champions League there. And like, I know football's not sort of all about that pure volume of goals, but people are saying, Messi scored and assisted 65 goals in the calendar year. Well, Mbappe had 89, I'm pretty sure. So, if you look at that and you're going to say, well, he's possibly not even the best at his club, how's he winning this award? But, the World Cup, it's the biggest stage. He probably was the best player, although he only actually scored, apart from Penn's goals against Australia and Mexico there, although good goals, both of them respectively, and I'm not taking anything away from the fact that he led that Argentinian side very well. But look, there's, I don't know, there's a little bit of these awards, they lose a little bit for me because it's all just like, it's opinion, and it sort of seems to change over the eras. Like, we've had eras where it's just the person who scores the most goals wins. Out of Messi and Ronaldo, and then it was a period of like 5 years where you had to win the Champions League to win it, and then Modric won one, no disrespect, like, as well as he was playing, probably wasn't like the best individual player that year. He just, took Croatia to the World Cup final, and obviously a really good player and deserved based on the criteria, but just sort of seems like, I don't know, that criteria seems to jump around a bit, but a little bit sort of tied into the hype of the World Cup, these awards, I reckon.
I think
maybe also the fairy tale-ness of the fact that it was
being a World Cup year,
Messi conquering his final frontier.
Being a World Cup year and having the World Cup right at the bang of the end of the year probably also has
recency
a bit of an impact.
bias.
Yeah, exactly. But it is what it is. We wait now for another year until we see it again, and do we see him pick it up again? Possibly not. That could be the end of his.
Yeah, look, it'll be, if he can, he's in good form for PSG lately, scoring a few goals, but it's hard to star on a side with Mbappe outscoring you, and look, give Flo Balogun the award if it's based on goal scoring.
Oh, exactly.
He's outscoring the both of them, and that league aren't there.
Well, there's that bloke I showed you the other day in Liechtenstein.
Yeah, give him the Ballon d'Or.
He's got more goal involvements than
He's
Haaland.
the Alexia Putellas of men's football.
He is. What's his name? Ryan Felipe, I think. He's a French bloke playing in Liechtenstein, and I think in 22 games he had about 21 goals and 20 assists or something like that. So pretty bloody awesome. That's probably it in terms of those awards there, as we take a little look at how the Arsenal have been going and coming off a good win up against Leicester there.
Yeah, it was a good win for the Arse. 1-0 away win. I thought it was a really good away performance. A lot more assured than last week compared to against Villa, which was a game that definitely could have gone either way until, well up past the 90th minute mark there. I thought we sort of looked like the only team that was looking likely to even score, let alone win the game.
Yeah, 100%. I think especially after that first half performance as well, like we played so well in that first half. Obviously, didn't manage to get that goal there that was disallowed.
Yeah.
A little bit unlucky there with the foul that's given, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I think I've seen a lot of Arsenal fans slightly annoyed with it being chalked off, but I mean, at the end of the day, I think the right decision was probably made.
I think the annoyance comes with, I saw a meme and it was VAR when they're checking goals Arsenal have scored, and it's like they've got every angle there.
It's super forensic,
and then goals when
scored against Arsenal, they forget to draw.
No, the TV had all these different just random TV programs on them and shit like that, and I think that's probably where the annoyance comes in, is it does seem like there was a huge check, and I kind of had seen the goal, and I don't know what it was, bloody 4:27 in the morning or something like that.
I was watching. I was like, yeah, and then I was like, yeah, good goal.
Did you watch live?
Nah. Just woke up and watched it, and then Lana goes, nah, bad goal, just taking the piss out of me, being annoying. And yeah, it turned out to be a bad goal. I
think I might have even because I was thinking I'm only going to watch this first half. I might have even gone and taken a piss or brushed my teeth or something like that, and then came back in and had seen that it was disallowed, and it was a bit oh my god, what the hell's happened here? But I thought we sort of after that we still played really well. We pushed on and pressured them. I thought Jorginho had an awesome game. He looked real good coming in for Party there, and Party when he did get to come on there sort of at the end, he also played well. So it's good to see that it's nice to have that
option.
Yeah, that option, that predicament, and who do you want to pick, or picking people to suit the opponents or whatever it may be. But I thought he was awesome. Trossard as well. He had a really good game. So it's it was, and I quite liked seeing. No offense to Nketiah getting dropped, but I quite liked that front three there with Martinelli involved and Trossard and Saka. I thought it was quite good, eh?
Yeah, it was really good. I thought we looked like, we were dominating the ball there in midfield, and those three were doing really well, sort of, passing the ball, knocking it around. But I think if you want to be super critical, maybe we could have, with all our domination, edged out another goal or two. Another clear-cut chance, but I thought another player who had a really good game, Gabriel, he was really good at the back.
Really good.
I guess, like we said with the VAR goal, Ben White, just need to watch what you're doing a little bit more, because I guess whether you like it or not, keepers are protected a lot more than I guess other players, outfield players are, and I guess that's probably, rightly so. Look, Danny Ward didn't exactly cover himself in glory in the situation, but if you do, get technical about it, I suppose Ben White, with a hand on his arm, affected it. So, chalked off, but lucky it didn't cost us like in the Brentford game.
Oh, exactly. A 1-0 win, a clean sheet away from home, get ourselves back on the ball again, get a couple more wins on the trot. We've got a nice, not an easy, but an easier run of fixtures, and a little bit easier than City when we look at that. And I guess we continue that with, it works out, I'm guessing, to be the game in hand that we've got, because City have an FA Cup game this week. They play tomorrow morning.
So we'll be back on even.
So we'll be back on even. I was just having a look at the table there. That ends up putting us, if we win,
can win this one,
5 points clear. So, up against Everton, the reverse from that game that I sent a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
That sort of shock loss. Obviously, Sean Dyche's first game in charge there, and so it's going to be interesting to see how we go there in this one. I think we should hopefully bounce back and take a win.
Yeah, look, Everton will have to perform a lot better than we did. They had a perfect game plan to shut us down, and we'll have to try and combat the way they lump the ball in behind to Calvert-Lewin there, and maybe just look to break them down a bit quicker, or maybe through the middle there. We saw how well they were double teaming on our wingers. Perhaps the fullbacks, maybe we see Tierney get a game in this one, because he likes to overlap rather than Zinchenko coming in, but Zinchenko's been in such good form you probably can't drop him. But yeah, surely the lads can continue their winning ways, and if history is anything to tell you, we do enjoy playing them at home.
Yeah, we usually do go well at home against Everton, and they've, I guess, managed to have a slight turn of form, I guess, in the last few weeks. What they've had,
they beat Leeds, but they lost the Merseyside derby there, and I think they're just coming off a loss to Villa.
Yep, you're right there. They did lose on the weekend there, so sitting there still in the relegation zone. We know that Sean Dyche is, he's I guess a bit of a master when it comes to doing what he can with what he's got. Burnley not really known for many transfers, and he's got the players here that he has, and he's going to have to have a bit of a battle on his hands, I think, to get himself there. But I think we should. I'm hoping that we can come away with a win. I think we should do, and get that 3 points, get that little extra bit of a buffer up against City, open that gap up at the top there to 5 points, and how many games is that left after that?
That leaves
still
us
a
with
little while. 11 games to go.
left.
So 11 games to go with 5 points clear. I mean, it's not, you're not home and hosed. You're not, but you're sitting happy, and I guess hoping that you can continue on and take that out by that stage. But it's the game in hand. So we don't really want to be slipping up from here on out.
Yeah, exactly. It's crunch time, as they say. Crunch time of the season. 12 games to go for the Arse, 11 for most of the other teams. That game against Everton on Thursday morning, New Zealand time, Wednesday evening, UK, I suppose. And leads us into the weekend, hopefully, with another 3 points on the board, 5 points, as we were saying, gap at the top of the table there. And we'll be back at home again, second time in a row, this time up against another side down there at the wrong end of the table, Bournemouth. Hopefully we can come into this one having had 3 on the bounce, and then we can make this one the 4th pretty comfortably, I'd like to hope, against currently the 19th place team in the league.
You'd hope so. I'm guessing we'll see a little bit of rotation probably from the midweek game. Maybe a couple of players will drop to the bench and turn for someone else, or maybe we'll see a few extra different players in that Everton game, and then the stronger team against Bournemouth. I'm not too sure how it will go, but I think it's Bournemouth haven't really looked up to scratch as they have been over the past years, and not really. I mean, it's a tough one with them. They bit of a drubbing in their last game up against City, so we'll be hoping that we can pull out something similar. I'd like to see a few goals in this one.
Build upon their low confidence, possibly.
Yeah, but you'd be hoping for a win, hoping for a few goals, and finish the weekend, fingers crossed, with another 3 points, and maybe City have slipped up along the way.
Yeah. That would be an ideal weekend for any Arsenal fan, I'm sure. But that's probably about it in terms of the Arsenal, in terms of the football in general. So we'll have a little bit of a look at the cricket that's been concluded this afternoon, and certainly dramatic style.
What a test that was. Now, I've watched parts of it, I've read parts of it, I've listened to parts of it. Probably enjoyed the listening part of it the most. I love listening to Test cricket. I think it's great. It's been good getting in on the AM in the car, and listen to that when you're cruising around. Obviously, today and yesterday I haven't been able to see as much of it, being back at work. But over the weekend, we managed to tune in and watch a bit. And what was it, Saturday when we watched that the Derby, the Wizards next game.
Yeah.
And I didn't bring my laptop, and so we had to we switched it over, and it's looking pretty sour here, I think is what you said, to describe the way the cricket was going. And started off to an absolute shocker, and like you said, finished in dramatic style, with the Black Caps taking the win by 1 run.
Exactly, 1 run in the end. Started out pretty good fashion on day one there for the lads. 21 for 3, we had the Palms. But Harry Brook and Joe Root there just absolutely battered us into oblivion there. Carried them to 425 for 8 in the first innings. Probably a little bit of a opportunity missed for the Black Caps, but big up for those two.
Yeah, unreal partnership.
Yeah, we know Joe Root can do it, but Harry Brooks seems to be quickly establishing himself as one of the world's best.
Up there in one of those graphics that they had up there.
Yeah, most runs after 9 innings.
That's what it was, yeah.
So watch out for him in the years to come. He's certainly been a revelation.
Looked really good, and the rate that they were scoring at as well, they were scoring a lot faster than we were.
Harry Brooks scores more than a run a ball, which is insane for Test cricket.
Yeah, he had a stupid amount of boundaries, I think it was as well for Test cricket too.
Yeah.
So, a pretty unreal first innings partnership from those two, and
record breaking in itself. And then like we said, but sour with the bat there on Saturday. Ended up being that Captain Timmy top scored there with 70 odd, so shout out to him. Sort of managing to slightly salvage us, but not managing to salvage us from following on. But we managed to do really well there in our second innings, setting up a monumental effort from the Black Caps really to nearly post 500 there and setting England 250 odd to win after the second innings. And you were probably thinking start of the day, what were they, 50 for 1, 40 something for 1?
Something like that, yeah.
Ollie Robinson was out there as a night watchman, and you thought England were just going to cruise to it as they've done so many times. But as we said, managed to, for the 4th time in Test history, win after being a side that follows on.
Yeah.
First time the Black Caps have ever done it. England have done it twice and India once. Australia, the 3 previous recipients. But what a game. What a story for the Black Caps.
Yeah, bloody awesome, eh?
But there was another huge story in this one. Regardless of the result, it would have been a very special test for New Zealand anyway, with it probably marking a very significant one for years to come in New Zealand history. The moment that we saw our former Test captain, our current One Day and 2020 captain, Kane.
Top Test run scorer for New Zealand.
Yeah, went past his good mate Ross Taylor there, and
very awesome to see.
Bringing up the milestone as part of a little Test match century there, number 26 for Kane. So I believe that's also a record for New Zealanders, and pretty handy achievement to say the least. I think he's only 32 as well. We've seen many cricketers play into their late 30s, closing in on 8,000 Test runs. So if he can end his career with 5 digits, pretty
awesome,
loose.
yeah.
I don't know if there'll be another Kiwi batsman to ever do that, unless you see a bloke get in the side at the age of 18 and play all the way to 40. But you saw his average was like 7 better than Martin Crowe, our previous best.
It was unreal. Like.
Yeah, he's still got another few years to keep adding, and good stuff, Kano. We love it. Dramatic stuff all round. What a test!
Yeah, unreal into a test. And I saw an article before.
2 runs to win, 1 wicket on the line. Could have gone either way.
Yeah, even the English were stoked to be a part
tense.
of it. They walked off happy. They were just stoked to be a part of a spectacle like that for cricket. So it's awesome to see, and even better that it ends with us taking the win, and then both teams probably deservedly sharing the series, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I think England probably had the better of sort of 7 or 8 of the days played, but an awesome fight back from the Black Caps over the last 2.
Exactly.
To post a really decent total, and bowl England out for their lowest total of the series, I believe. Just goes to show that, you can have all the T20 and one-day cricket to sort of glam and glitz it up, but it doesn't get as dramatic and as exciting as watching 2 teams slug it out for 5 days, and it end up being, one result could go either way, and you could have all 3 results on the line. Well, probably no draw likely in this one, but either side could have won it after 5 days of slugging it out, and you would have thought England were on top for the most of that, but
good to
managed to pull it out of our arse.
Exactly. Now, as I said just before, on Saturday we did have the big derby match, the Wizards up against the Knicks, and unfortunately for me, the Knicks did take it out, so congratulations to
Julius Randle with a tied career high.
It was 48.
46, I believe.
Oh, something gnarly now.
46, 48.
We started off unreal. You'd gone out and got something, and then I'd come back. You walked in, and I think we were up by 19 or something, and I'd sort of given you a look as if to say, "Fuck, mate, this could be game, set, and match." And I think first quarter KP had dropped 19 points, and then he didn't score another point until like 3 minutes to go. So I think there was a couple of stages there where we fell apart. We let up a real big lead there before the half, and then wasn't really able to pull it back in there at the end, and it was close there for a bit. And the last 11 seconds took about 11 minutes, as it always does in basketball, and we weren't able to hit any bloody free throws. I think you must have got a couple because of the bonus, and just stretched that score out that little bit further, but unfortunately continued that losing streak up against the Bulls, and sitting at 28 and 32 now, so we're I'm guessing out of the...
I think we might still be 9th or 10th.
Oh, yeah.
Still in those play-in spots there. Hopefully a little bit of a bounce back for the Wizards soon, after a couple of hours on the trot. Maybe I saw during that game you have a lot of home games.
Yeah,
finish the season, like the highest proportion out of any team in the league. So you've got like 21 at home and like 7 on the road. So hopefully that'll, keep you in good stead.
In our favour, I would know.
But the Knicks picking up another good win today up against the Celtics, the league-topping Celtics. So can't complain about that. Sitting at 36 and 27, so looking pretty comfy at the moment. And they're in 5th or 6th. Do you want to give us a little check?
Yeah, 5th. So very nice.
Fifth, I'm very happy after making a bit of a surge in recent sort of weeks. Up the conference a little bit. We'll be hoping that the Wizards can follow suit, I suppose. But
fingers crossed.
Yeah, probably leads us into the weekly darts discussion.
Yeah,
what's going on in the world of darts?
As we said before, unfortunately, there was no big win for us over the weekend, with MVG, who ended up taking out the night 4 of the Premier League, taking out Gizzy in the final, a 6-5 final win. I think Gizzy might have been 5-2 up, I believe it was at one stage, and he lost. Michael Van Gerwen coming back was 4 straight legs there to take it out. So well done to him. It's our 4th different winner within 4 weeks of the Premier League. Now, bit of a disparity there on the points table. Unfortunately, Peter Wright yet to win a match. He's down there in 8th. Johnny Clayton 4 points ahead. You've got 2 players there on 5, Dobie and Dimitri. And then that top 4 is where it gets interesting. 4 points between the top 4. You got Aspinall, Gezi, Smith, and Van Gerwen. He's sitting there on top of the table. A huge amount of legs won compared to the next most. So interesting to see how it goes Friday morning our time. You've got a trickier matchup. Now, I have managed to pull a little King of the Oche bet up again. The matchups we've got this time, you've got MVG up against Gezi. Rematch of that final, tricky one to pick. Aspinall up against Michael Smith, another one I'm finding really tricky to go against the Asp here. Dimitri up against Dobie, both sitting in a pretty similar position there on the table, and then you got Johnny Clayton up against Peter Wright. Now, I jumped on Ned's and had a little look, and I've definitely found value, that's for sure. Now, you've got MVG, King of the Oche. Now, just a reminder, that is to win the match at the most 180 and get the highest check-out, paying $450. You've then got Michael Smith. I've had to go for him, coming in at $325 up against the Asp. I've then gone for Dimitri up against Dobie, also coming in at $325. And then this one I thought was quite unreal. Now, Johnny Clayton sort of seemed to find his form over the weekend. Peter Wright's still not looking at his best, so I've gone for him, $750.
That's value driver.
You chuck that price boost on there, $427.58. You're chucking $10 on there, $4,275.80. You're going to Rarotonga, that is for sure.
Cheers. A few days on the beach, few beers.
We'll be happy, and then you can sit there and be stoked with your winnings. Sorry, I didn't let you know as well. Actually, we also had the European Tour over the weekend. I thought that's what I was getting into next, but I got myself a bit mixed up there. But we did have Dave Chisnell take out the European Tour over the weekend there in Germany, beating Luke Humphries on the final. But we're going to be able to see all of them again after the Premier League. You know, that's what was next up, and that is with the Kazoo UK Open, which is on over the weekend. Now you've got, I don't know how many players exactly. I want to say 128 maybe. There possibly might be 158 player field, and they do it's a weird round setup, a little bit similar to the World Championship, but looking forward to that one. A whole heap of players. Now, I haven't gone ahead and picked anyone here. Probably a little bit tricky to be doing so. But there's heaps of darts to sink your teeth into over the weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and possibly Monday morning for us. So there'll be plenty to have a look at, and hopefully we'll be having a look at it $4,000 richer.
Absolutely, that would certainly make the week, make the month, probably make the year so far. But if that's it for darts, it's probably us for the week. So, as we always say, if you've managed to make it this far with us, thank you for listening or watching along if you're on YouTube. Remember to give us a like and 5-star, subscribe to the podcast, all of that. Enjoy the week ahead. If you're going to punt on the Rarotonga bet, just do so responsibly, $10 only.
$10 max, we don't want to hear about anyone wasting any more money on it.
Or if you can't afford $10, just chuck 5 on it.
$10 max, 1 cent minimum.
Exactly. Other than that, thank you very much, and we'll see you next week.
Ciao.
Marshall skips away. Marshall's still going. Marshall's got Richards coming up outside. Now inside.
Arsenal have gone through an entire league campaign without losing.
Bennett and the Dragons win the grand final.
Whips that one away, and Kane Williamson and his team now World Test champions.